Hello, everyone, and welcome to Burn the Ship, the podcast that helps entrepreneurs go all in on their business, and we introduce them to professionals that can help them to do so. Today, we have a very special guest, Barbara Dondiego. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Excellent, excellent. Now, go ahead and introduce yourself and the name of your business.
All right. I'm the CEO of AVOXI, and we basically do cloud communications for contact centers around the world.
Awesome, awesome. And we understand that time is one of our most valuable resources. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about your journey, Barbara.
Sure. Yeah. So I started off my career in communications infrastructure, and I started off in product management and product development. So I was helping to build new products at the time. This is a while ago, by the way, like 30 years ago, a long time ago. Basically, in that time, the whole industry was kind of exploding because we didn't have the things we have today then. Like, we didn't have the internet. We didn't have like email even. Email was like new. All these things were new. So all communications infrastructure for businesses was being rebuilt. And so that's where I started. And I started off in international. So I always was working with other countries and trying to connect other countries together to communicate with customers and employees. So I really started looking at marketing as the next step. I did product, then I did marketing. Then I started looking at how could I take on general management roles. And that's where I came to actually working at AVOXI in my current role. Okay. So it's been an evolution. Most of my companies that I've pretty much worked at were really big. Like, think about 1,000-person companies, $1 billion+ in revenue. And when I came to AVOXI, smallest company I've ever worked at, it was 50 people, under 50 people at the time. It was, under $10 million of revenue. And I just really wanted to see if I could do that. I wanted to know if I could kind of go from like the big company size to this smaller company, and if I would like it. One thing about my background, I'll tell you, is that I have done kind of two things in big companies. I've done startups inside big companies, or I've done turnarounds, like post-bankruptcy turnarounds, which are kind of similar. So that's sort of what led me here.
Awesome. Now, I do have a couple questions when it comes to how you started. It seems like you went straight into international, which seems like that could be challenging.
Yes.
Tell us how you navigated that so early in your career with languages, with different cultures. How was that?
It was a lot. But it's sort of where I started, so I didn't really know anything different.
Okay.
But I also kind of like different types of people always. In high school you have the kid that was like the glue that had that was kind of friends with all the groups. That's who I was. Okay. So I kind of like that. I sort of had that personality. I don't speak any other languages. I only speak English. I started learning some other languages, but then I just really kind of leaned into English because it was sort of the business language that was being used all in the companies that I worked with. But there are some things like, when I was probably 20, maybe 24, I went to Japan on a business trip. And I had a colleague with me who was really like a project manager. And I was like, I owned the product. And we went with our sales team to go talk to customers about the product. And, everybody's Japanese, right? Because we're in Tokyo. And there's no women anywhere. We're talking about technology and we're talking about communications infrastructure. The only women are like serving tea, okay? And me present. Right. And the customers basically would ask questions. Like, they would ask the question to my colleague, and then he would ask me to answer it, and then I would answer it, and then they would ask the question. So it kind of went like this. It was like, his name was Dennis Haddock. So the question was like, Haddock-san, can you answer this question about, the coverage of this product? And he'd say, oh, thank you very much for your question. Barbara, can you please answer the question? And then I would answer the question. And then they would say, thank you. And then they would we did this triangle of communication.
They had to make sure that it went through him to verify the answer. Like he was the translator. Right.
And after the meeting, he's like, did that bother you? My colleague. I'm like, it's kind of like a cultural thing. So it really didn't. But, so things like that, you have to figure out how to navigate and how to just get through it.
Yeah. Over time, was it multiple? You had to do that in whatever country. You had to understand that as you were going in. Was that part of your sales process, knowing I'm going into this particular country and they have these particular customs?
Yeah, that would have been a good, very proactive thing to do.
Okay.
So we did it.
Y'all just went with the products.
High growth, days of infrastructure, and everybody wanted this infrastructure that could connect businesses together. And so we just sort of went in with our technology as the lead. And that's what we talked about. And I remember, in Mexico City, like drawing like computers on a whiteboard, but using my 20 Spanish technical words to write on the board, like like what's the computer, what's the internet, and we just sort of leaned into the technology versus really studying more what was going on, but always with a respectful air, I'd say.
Right. Makes a lot of sense. Now, you had a lot of success early jumping into these large businesses. You've talked about how there are huge businesses that you were working with, and then the opportunity came to your current position. Was there an event that happened specifically that said, you know what, I'm going to move away from these super large businesses, burn the ship, and go all in on this new business?
Yeah, it's such an interesting question. So I was a really young executive in big companies, and that was really fortunate, and I had a great opportunity to do that. So I had been a chief marketing officer. It was my third chief marketing officer position, big company. I was under 40 years old, and I was kind of looking around, and I was like, you know what? I don't think this can be my story. I don't think these big companies, a lot of bureaucracy and all these processes. And I was spending maybe half my time like doing and leading things and half my time telling people about all the things I was doing and leading. And I didn't really love the ratio. And so I was like, I think I could go infrastructure is a relatively like older, slower moving business, like the physical infrastructure. So it's like, I feel like there's all this software stuff going on that I was seeing around me, that I was sort of working on a little bit in product development. Like, I feel like, like you could get like two guys in a garage and do a lot of really cool things and really make a difference in even in a legacy or a more, an older business like infrastructure. So that's sort of what I was going through my mind. And I was like, I feel like I need to go take on something, that's a little bit more fast moving, that's more innovative, that really leverages software. And I was thinking I'd worked about 20 years, and I was like, what do I want the next 20 to be? And I'm like, and I think it has to be a whole new track. So that's really what led me, in your terms, which are great terms, to burn the ship, right? Everyone's like, what? You're giving away like a C-level executive position in a big company, and you're going to go to this little company run by a founder who, has 50 people. But I really leaned into it. I was excited about doing that.
Yeah, it looks like you were ready for the next challenge for yourself, because you had already conquered the big things. And you said, hey, look, everything changes ever so often, so we're going to dive into this and go there. Now, I'm excited that you were able to do that, and I'm more excited to talk about it today. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about the business and how we can best help you.
Sure. Yeah. So what we do is we focus on international here at AVOXI. We focus on international voice. And what I mean is literally the calls you make into call centers to get service, to buy products all around the world. We help provide the voice infrastructure for that. So literally, like if you are a call center, if you say are, any brand, like say a large pharmaceutical company, you might have a call center in the Philippines, you might have customers in China. So we're going to provide you local phone numbers in China. We're going to provide you a way to manage those and orchestrate that. And we're going to integrate that seamlessly into your call centers and route those calls for you. And you might have the call center in the Philippines, you might have a call center in the US, you might have a call center in Ireland, and all those folks are going to be taking calls from, say, whatever country, China, Thailand, Brazil, and we're going to help you provide that infrastructure and route that around for you. And the beauty part is we do that all in the cloud and all with our software. So we've basically taken something that is historically very physical and slow and manual, and we've automated all of it in the cloud and offer that to our customers, so they get a whole new experience with this business process of voice than they've ever had.
Now, with it, we always try to paint the best picture on that canvas so people can, just have a clear picture of what it is that you're doing. What does that business look like that needs that service? I know they're call centers, but tell us a little bit more about the business.
Yeah, definitely. So really, it's businesses that are probably over 1,000 employees, and they have more than 5 countries where they're operating. Okay. So that's really our target market for AVOXI. So, and anybody, and then the bigger the company gets, probably the more complexity they have around the world with their international voice services, and the more we can help them simplify that and give them transparency and visibility to what's going on there.
Okay, one of the other things that I always ask, just to put a little bit more icing on that cake, is an idea of what an engagement looks like if I decide to use your services. So let's just say we are doing that first discovery call. Give us an idea of what that engagement looks like when we come on with you.
Yeah, definitely. So, like, if you were saying, "Hey, you know what? We really want to. We're expanding into Singapore, or we're expanding from Europe into Asia, or we want to go from the United States into Europe," we would say, "Okay, let's set up a pilot." And pilots for us are free of charge, actually, because we really want to earn your business. That's part of our culture of the company. So we would set up a pilot and we'd say, okay, let's understand what you're really trying to do. What are your specific requirements? Who are you trying to contact? How are you trying to answer the phone? How many calls do you think you might have? What kind of numbers do you like? What kind of customers are you trying to attract? And when I say numbers, I really actually mean the specific phone numbers. Like there's differences in all different countries. Like some countries want like numbers that are going to look like an US 800 number. Some people want numbers that are going to look like a number from Atlanta. So there's a lot of different variations there around the world. So we basically ask all those questions, set up essentially an overall like a requirements overview, and then we get you set up. Now we do all of that work, the pilot work, just to make sure that we're on the same page with our customers. But then once we're setting you up, all of that is automated in the platform. So it's very, very quick to set people up, make changes, update your routes, and update your service in your platform.
Awesome. Thank you so much for making that such a pretty picture like the one behind you. Now, we want our best to try to get you in contact with that end user, but, we understand the importance of networking. Now, I know word of mouth and your current clients are great referral partners, but tell us a little bit about those industries that help send you over. What would be a good referral partner industry?
Yeah, definitely. And we love partners. There's so many different sizes of partners that we work with that have inroads into various industries and businesses of all different, specialties. So we're always open to that as well. So we basically have about 5 verticals that we focus on from an industry perspective. The first one is hospitality, and really think about like hotel reservation centers. So hotel reservation centers are all over the world. Hotels are all over the world. There's a lot of complexity there. That's a great vertical for us. Also, people within the overall travel space, like travel agencies or large scale corporate travel agency companies. So that's number one. Number 2 is in the pharmaceutical space. So not really like hospitals, but think about people that are manufacturing different types of pharmaceuticals, different type of medical devices. And they have to have call centers so that, if you're using the medical device and you have a question, you can call them. If you want to report something that's gone awry with a drug, you can call them. So that's the second one. We also do financial services. So international banks are a great target for us. And then the last vertical is really just different types of platform partners. So there's lots of call center platforms out there, and we partner with many of them, and they work for us business as well.
Man, that is awesome. Thank you so much for making the picture clear, because when I was doing the research myself, I was trying to really figure out, okay, now how can I best help her? And you have done a magnificent job of bringing a light to everything. And thank you so much for sharing about the business. Now, we have talked about your journey. You were in there with the larger corporations and then decided to come to this particular corporation. I know you guys are successful. Again, like I said, I do a little research and I know you guys are doing well. And I am confident over that span of time, you have acquired and nurtured some best practices or some of those business skills that have helped Barbara to be successful. Do you mind sharing with the audience that is watching today some of those business skills that maybe they can add to their mix and strive towards success?
Sure. I mean, one thing I always tell people, and I've always done, is run towards problems. This is the best way to have success, personal success, is if you see something that's a problem, you see something that's literally burning down, that is broken, that 4 people have tried to fix but can't. If you have the opportunity to work on that, go do that. Go do that, because there's 2 things that are going to happen. One thing is you're going to succeed, and then that's great. Okay. The other thing is you're going to fail, but you're going to learn a lot from doing that.
Yes.
So I would say that's number 1. I mean, the second thing is really try to be as direct and as transparent as you can at all times. With authenticity, with being authentic, not just being direct to be mean about it, but you need to be honest and direct and not be afraid of that. So I think those are probably a couple of big best practices. And the last one is always keep going.
Okay. Okay.
right? If you always keep going, whether you fail, okay, you learn from that, you succeed, that's great. But if you're just standing still, you're not going to learn anything.
Yes, yes. That makes tons of sense. And I want to go back and talk about one of the skills you just talked about, that middle one. My children, they're into sports now, and one of them is playing softball. And I try to explain to her that softball is about failure. You know, it's about how overcoming it, and Hall of Famers, you know, only get it right 3 out of 10 times. Do you have one of those experiences where you dove into it, you failed, but you were able to overcome and something good came out of it? Can you share one of those stories, please?
Like so many. I mean, you know, when I was first a manager, I was a young manager. So I was first a manager in my early 20s. And I wasn't very good at it, honestly. I didn't really know how to talk to people. I didn't really know how to communicate. And sometimes I'd be sort of like harsh with folks. So I don't really think I did a great job as a manager there.
Mm-hmm.
But I also feel like I was able to learn a lot, and then think about, okay, how do I really want to make this work? How do I really want to build the talent around me in a way that is going to work out for everyone to the good? And so I would say that that's probably the biggest one. You know, my husband, when I tell him that story, he's like, well, you weren't that bad. I mean, all those people that used to work with you still go to lunch with you when you're in their city.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
right,
true.
Right,
They
right,
do.
right,
They do.
right.
They do. But I think that's one thing. I think the other thing is, I'll tell you kind of more of a public story, is when I went to go work at a company called McLeod USA.
Mm-hmm.
To go work at McLeod USA. The first 2 years I worked there, it was about building. It was a startup inside a big company, so it was about building this nationwide infrastructure for them. They were a regional company, only based in like 5 kind of Midwestern states at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So we were going to be building this national infrastructure, and that was a big initiative. We had funding, we had meetings with the board, we had all these awesome things. We were going to build this whole new platform that was innovative. And then the telecom crash happened. Then the company went through bankruptcy, and that was really hard to go through bankruptcy. Because our whole plan that we had sort of just like died.
Mm-hmm.
But then we had to redirect into, okay, what does the company need us to focus on now? And can we be part of that picture? Then we did things like process engineering, and, you know, how do we get efficiencies out of the business? Well, how do we remap all of our products and redo them and relaunch them? And so, I mean, that was an example where we really dove into one thing in the business. All the economic factors change, and I had to really pivot into a whole different area of the business. And I learned a ton during that period. I'm not saying it was the most fun period of my career, but if you go in and out of bankruptcy, you learn a lot.
Yeah, that goes to that last one that you mentioned. Go ahead and keep going, because you had to push through a bunch of things. I know it's a ton of things that were happening. I know you skimmed over it, but it seems like it wasn't the brightest time in that particular company.
Yeah,
but
a little dark. A little dark time. That's
yes. Well, I definitely appreciate you sharing those examples, because again, we try to have successful people on the show to be a guide, or, you know, just be a beacon of light to others so they can see how to keep going. So we've talked a lot about your journey. We've talked about the business. We talked about those business skills. So I want to turn the corner just a little bit so people understand that, you know, Barbara is a human and just not a solutions machine here. So let's just say that you got everyone's phone numbers and the call centers taken care of, and time and money is not an issue. What is it that Barbara would do with her time?
Yeah. So first, I have 3 kids.
Okay.
So I have 3 boys. I like to spend a lot of time with them. They take a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
They break a lot of things everywhere in my house. I'm like, well, how do you guys walk down the hallway and knock pictures off the walls? They're like, I don't know. So anyway, I like to spend time with them. I'm married. I've been married for a long time. I like to spend time with my husband. We like to walk, work out, hike. But I also have a huge garden. That's probably maybe the biggest hobby that I have. My yard is like it's mostly edible. I'm planting different things to eat in there, and giving people little tours about what they can eat in the garden. So I would spend more time on those things. Okay.
Now I know we're, you know, spring coming to the summertime. What is your favorite thing to see grow out of the ground?
Oh gosh, so many things. We have so many things. This year, I'll tell you, we had a great season for strawberries.
Okay.
We had so many strawberries. We had buckets of strawberries.
Okay.
So that was really fun.
Okay.
And then I actually like that a lot of the things that we, they just come back. Like, the apple trees have apples every year. The pear trees have pears every year. I mean, I just think that's kind of amazing that happens like that.
Yeah, my softball player, she has gotten into planting things, and she was so excited about her sunflower. Her sunflower
Yes.
grew up, and it was like 6 feet tall. It was amazing. I hate it when the bees got after it, because once the bees got after it, it kind of started, losing.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to gain because they were pollinating it, but that's what she's the most proud of. So that's why I wanted to ask that question when you mentioned the garden.
My youngest actually planted sunflowers last year.
Okay.
And he was really excited about them as well. Well, a lot of them were short. They were shorter though. I think they were actually called, I don't know, I forget what they're called, but they were like sort of like 4-foot sunflowers versus the big tall ones.
Okay, I got you. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. Now, the next question that I have, if someone that is watching today has a question about your business, your journey, about some of those skills that you shared today, what is the best way for them to get in contact with you?
Sure. Yeah. Just go to our website, right? www.avoxi.com. We have a request form there, and we'd love to talk with you a little bit about, what your needs are and how we can help you.
Excellent. And to all the guests that come on, we truly do appreciate you coming on, because sometimes it's not always that easy to share about the past and your present, but you've done a magnificent job on there. And we want to honor you for coming on by giving you the last word. So please look into the camera and tell the people something good.
Oh, thank you. Something good. So one thing for me is I have a little quote on my desk, and the quote is, every wall is a door.
Okay. Every wall is a door. To everyone that is listening, please take heed to those kind words. And thank you so much for coming on the show today, Barbara.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And to everyone that is watching, be kind and thanks.